My name is Cavin-Dillon, and I am coming in as the new senior pastor at West End, coming from Christ United Methodist Church in Franklin, where I've been for 14 years. It's actually been 30 years ago. The Tennessee Conference decided to plant several new churches in the Nashville area. A lot of the churches in the conference and in the Nashville district especially committed to helping that church launch, and West End was one of those wonderful partners. I've heard over the years in my time at Christ how West End was there with anything that was needed at Christ. If we needed a copier, West End bought the first copier for Christ UMC. 20 years ago, when I entered the conference, Michael was one of the first people to reach out and make me and all the new ordinands feel welcome. And he was just so warm and a mentor figure, really, for me and for so many of us. As I think about following Michael Williams, there's, of course, on the one hand, how do you follow Michael Williams? Such an authentic, warm, prophetic shepherd of congregations. But on the other hand, I have such deep gratitude because he has been so gracious and hospitable in welcoming me and paving the way for me to come into this place as smoothly as possible with great hospitality and joy. So following into this place behind him, I can't imagine it anything more wonderful than to be able to be a pastor where he has already been a pastor and a shepherd. My practice has been to preach from the front. That started the Sunday after the market crashed. And I was still the associate pastor at Christ, but I was preaching that Sunday, and it just felt like I just wanted to be closer to everybody. It was such a difficult moment for everybody, and I just wanted to be closer, and I never went back. It felt so much more, I felt so much more present with the people when I let go of the paper that was on the pulpit. I grew up in the Methodist church, been Methodist all my life, both sides of my family, deep roots in Methodism. When I went away to college, in my second year of college, I was talking with my roommate. My roommate in college was an atheist, real vocal activist, and I was a little bit more, passive, and you have to be nice and that sort of thing. And there was one day when there was a letter to the editor in the student newspaper about how women should not be in ministry. So since I was at Duke, Duke has a divinity school, and they were criticizing the divinity school for training women to go into ordained ministry. And that made me mad. And so I sat down and typed a letter, and I showed it to Kat, my roommate, and said, I think I'm going to submit this to the student paper as a response to this gentleman's letter to the editor. And she read it and looked at me and said, I think you should be a minister. So it was an atheist who first called me into ministry, and I laughed and I said, now, you don't like organized religion. And she said, well, if there's going to be a church, I think somebody like you should be leading it. As soon as she said it, it resonated at a deep place within me, and I knew that's what I'm called to do. I thought in that moment I was being called to be a pastor, a preacher, a leader in a church. By the time I finished undergrad, I had talked myself out of that and thought, I'll teach Christian ethics. And about halfway through my time at Candler, several things happened that reawakened what God was really calling me to do. Yes, you really are called to be a pastor in a church. I thought, okay. And it's been absolutely exactly where I am meant to be. It's been a joyful journey. I think one of the exciting things is that it's not just I who am coming to West End. My husband David is coming, and he's a native Nashvilleian and is really excited about the possibilities and the new community here at West End. And then I have Tate and Martha, and Tate is a rising sophomore, and Martha is a rising 7th grader. And it's a big shift for them, a big transition. Christ UMC is the only church they've known Tate was 1.5 when I went there, and Martha wasn't even born yet. So it's a change for them, but they're both really excited about it. One of the things I'm really excited about is getting to know new people. I'm very grateful that you have name tags, and I'm hoping everybody wears their name tags. I used to be really good at remembering names, and as I get older, it's a little bit harder. Knowing people and knowing their stories, and it's a priority to me to know the children and the young people. My goal is to learn the name of every child. So as I look around during the children's moment, I'm going to be paying attention and testing myself. Like, okay, do I know every child's name? That may take a little time, but that's a priority for me. My family and I had actually worshiped here in 2013. I took a 3-month sabbatical, and David, my husband, and I both wanted to come and hear Michael and just experience worship at West End in a different place. And, you know, who would have thought that this is where I would be sent next? As I think about what I want to do and be coming in on that first Sunday, my first impulse is always to listen and just to get a sense of who is West End and what is the culture here and what's important to the congregation here. I think about how Nashville is changing and at a very fast rate, and here West End is right in the heart of it all. And what kind of leadership can this congregation offer to our city to make sure we're a city that is still mindful of the most vulnerable and living out the gospel in this place at this time, and to figure out what's the potential and what more can we do together to bear witness to the light of Christ right here in this neighborhood.